हेलो गाइस, कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग। तो बॉडी बिल्डिंग अपडेट में आप सभी लोग का स्वागत है। एंड गाइस, वन फाइनल टाइम हम लोग देखने वाले आर्नोल्ड क्लासिक 2025 का चैंपियन सेमिनार। जी हाँ गाइस, इसमें कि आप लोग को सारे चैंपियन मोस्टली देखने को मिल जाएंगे। रॉनी कॉलमैन, फिली, जे कटलर एंड आर्नोल्ड श्वार्ज़नेगर। उसके बाद में आप लोग को देखने को मिलेंगे माइक सॉमरफेल्ड, डेरेक लंसफर्ड एंड सैम सुलेक। उसके साथ साथ आप लोग को अली बिलाल भाई भी देखने को मिलेंगे, लेकिन बाद में वो चले जाते हैं। सो गाइज, आप लोग को कंप्लीट सेमिनार लेके आ चुका हूँ। सो वीडियो को एंड तक देखते रहना। एंड अगर आप लोग चैनल पे पहली बार आए हो तो बॉडी बिल्डिंग अपडेटेड को सब्सक्राइब करके बेल नोटिफिकेशन को ऑल पे जरूर से प्रेस कर लेना, बॉडी बिल्डिंग से जुड़े कुछ और इंटरेस्टिंग न्यूज एंड अपडेट्स देखने के लिए। तो आप लोग वीडियो को एंजॉय करिए। मिलता हूं आप सब लोग से वीडियो के लास्ट में।
At the Olympia this year, which was a huge deal. We saw Chris Bumstead making his way to the stage for the final time, earning his sixth title. And I think a lot of people that follow the sport, had thought that Chris was going to get that first place spot. But when we look at the rest of the classic physique division, it's very close when you look at that second to maybe seventh or eighth place. And I believe he got seventh last year at the Olympia, and really, or eighth last year, leapfrogged all the way up to second place. Talk to us a little bit about last year and your ability to move up so far in the division.
So first of all, I had an amazing time here on stage. Winning the show is incredible, and placing second at the Olympia is a big deal too. And in order to do that, we had much work. So after the Olympia 2023, where I placed 8th, we needed to go back to work and see where we need to improve. And we got good instructions, really precise instructions where we need to work on. And this is what we did. We went back to work, we put in the work, and we were actually able to put on 15 pounds from the Olympia 23 to the Olympia 24. And I think we brought a big change, and it got rewarded.
Now, coming into this year's Arnold Classic, of course, you finished the runner-up spot at the Olympia. Coming into the Arnold, knowing that C-Bum's not going to be on this stage, that kind of puts you in the driver's seat. But we also had last year's champion Wesley Vissers making his way back to Columbus. Always a threat. You did place ahead of him at the Olympia. What was your mindset coming in, knowing that you had Wesley, you had Michael, a couple of guys that you had placed ahead of at the Olympia, but knew they were going to be gunning for you here in Columbus? Were you worried about the other competitors, or more just focus on your own thing?
I wasn't worried. I was prepared. So
sounds like an Arnold line right there.
We have social media. It's a great tool, and it can give you bad pressure, but it can also give you information. So I was able to see what these guys are doing, why they're doing it, how precise are they on the money or not, who is gonna come into the show really strong. I knew Wesley's gonna be there, I know Matt's gonna be there, I know Logan's gonna be there, and the lineup was amazing, and everyone deserves to win the show actually. So I was prepared coming into the show, but I was never sure to win it, and you should not be, because this will take off the drive. You need to be hungry to win the show, and I knew that Logan will come in strong, really strong. Wesley was on, he's the champion. But this is bodybuilding. You cannot say, oh, he's going to win the show, he's great. It's the day of the show where the decision is taking place. And we have the best judges sitting right in front of us. They are able to see the details. They do it for decades. They know what they're doing, so we can rely on them. And if we get the feedback, we know exactly what we need to work on. So I did what they told me to do. We were putting in the work a lot, really intense, and my coach, he made an incredible job. He was really precise this time. I was never working that close with him, but we made it. So this was actually the proof. This is what I was saying on stage. We proved that the only thing what's necessary is really hard work to turn your life into something beautiful and achieve your goals, whatever that may be.
Now, after prejudging yesterday morning, or Friday morning rather, the final call-out was yourself and Logan. And generally speaking, of course, it's not always set in stone, but generally speaking, if there's a final call-out of 2 during prejudging, that's putting you guys in the number 1 and 2 spot, which can kind of be unnerving. If there's 3 or 5, who's ever in the middle, usually looks like they're in the driver's seat, but when it's 2 or 4, any sort of even number, you're not really sure who's in that lead spot. Coming into Friday night's finals, knowing that it was down to just top 2, what was your mindset coming into finals on Friday night?
Oh, I was so excited for Logan. I know his potential. He's an incredible athlete. And I knew that he finally made it. He brought his A game. I know his coach really well. He trained me when I turned pro, so I know his coach did an incredible job. And see him on stage perform at his best, I was like, yes, this is the guy I want to be right next to.
All right, now we do have some questions here from the audience. We did have one for Mike, and they wanted to know how you decide which class you're going to pick, because a big discussion, you can see him smiling right away, you already know where our fan was going this one. A big discussion right now is with Mike SommerFeld growing as much as he has over the past few years. Are you thinking about a switch to the 212 division, or are you at a pretty good spot here and wanting to stay in Classic?
You know what's funny, actually? I turned pro as a bodybuilder, and my weight cap is not that far away. We're talking about 3 kilos. So my body changed tremendously the last 6 years from becoming a pro until getting second Olympia. But my weight did not change. We're talking about 2 or 3 kilos. But my body changed tremendously. So I don't know where this is going to, but if I can change my body even more and fill in the gaps and get, you know, the little edge, this is what I'm looking for. So I won't change the division. I will stay in Classic, and I will try to push it to a limit where it gets ridiculous.
I think I can speak for the fans here in Columbus who saw you on stage on Friday that ridiculous is something that you've already accomplished as far as your physique goes. But let's talk about your posing for a minute. When Classic Physique was first introduced back in 2016, it came with a lot of excitement because, and it's something Arnold's spoken about rather extensively, felt like the art of posing had been missing a little bit in bodybuilding. Of course, we talk about Arnold's golden era, and golden era means different things to different people, but even in the 80s and 90s, we had posers like Leela Brada and, of course, Sean Ray that just were up there, so graceful. And a lot of people felt like that was missing, and the Classic Physique brought that division back. Now, you're one of the guys, even among all the great posers that we have today in the Classic Physique division, who kind of take it to another level, and it really felt like for all the fans watching here on Friday night and myself from the podium that you were putting on a posing masterclass. Talk to us a little bit about what that means to you, you know, getting ready for these routines and knowing that you have a full audience to put on a performance for.
I'm competing since I'm 16 years old. And the first thing my dad told me is, you got 60 seconds on stage, all eyes on you. There's no one else on stage. Don't mess that up, kid. Be prepared.
No pressure.
He was right. So I practiced the posing every day, multiple times, day in, day out. And once I understood how music works, rhythm, emotions, and as you put that together, this creates something in the audience. And I was able to, it was not a perfect routine when I was 16, obviously not, but people were standing up, they were clapping their hands, they were cheering. I was like, all right, like, this is the thing. This is the thing I need to work on. This is the emotion I want to create. And from there, of course, then YouTube came into play. You can see all the posing routines, golden era posing. And then it's like, oh yeah, this pose is amazing. Let's try this one. As a kid, like 17 years old, 18 years old, in front of the mirror, like you're trying those poses and you see, oh, this one fits my body perfectly. This one looks not that good. And from that, this is the very starting point. And from there, you develop your own kind of skill and style. And this is what I try to show on stage. It's not a typical, highly aesthetic classic posing. It's like a hybrid about aesthetic, flow, strong, thick muscle. Like it's a kind of a new era.
So, in the beginning, you know, I got inspired by some individuals, and over time, I've gotten to actually know some of these individuals who have inspired me and many others. And I would absolutely say you got the likes of Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I mean, give it up for them, guys. These are legendary bodybuilders that have inspired me and so many other people, and not just bodybuilders, but also people that just watch their content and inspired by their journey or their mentality or whatever it is. So yeah, those are the people that I would say have definitely inspired me the most, for sure.
All right, well, now you can pass it forward to a whole new generation. Well, I know you're going to be on stage for a hot minute yet. Derek, it might be a little bit early to ask this question, but somebody in the audience threw it out there, so I figured I'd put it out to you. Is it too early to get Derek Lunsford to say, I'll be back for 2026? They want to know if you're going to be back for the 2026 Arnold.
Man, I just won last night. How many hours has it been? I don't even think this watch even works, if I'm honest with you.
It's been about, you've had about 12 hours to make up your mind on this one, Derek.
I don't even know if it's fully, like, settled in with everything. I'm like, I know my wife is like, hey, you just made $500,000. What are we doing with that? So it's definitely settled in for her. But for me, I'm over going, okay, I have a wife and a daughter. This is going to go quick. No. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I like to just kind of take things one step at a time. Listen, I'm 31 years young, and in this sport of bodybuilding, they say that's you know, just kind of hitting your stride. So for me, praise God, you know, I've been able to accomplish a lot of great things so far, but we have not seen the best of me yet. And I just want to take things one step at a time. I've got a great team around me. I got a great coach, Chris. Great training partner, Matt Grego, got my wife, my daughter, and so many more people. Also, I want to shout out Pacho from Brazil, who has been helping me train the last few weeks. I even had Ramon Dino come up and train with me the last couple weeks leading into the Arnold. So, you know, I got a good team around me, and I just, in my mind and in my vision, I got a lot of great progress that's coming this year and for many years to come. So just one step at a time.
Now, you brought up training with Matt, which anybody who follows you on social media has seen that. Of course, Matt Grego making his Arnold Classic debut here as well, finishing in the third-place spot behind. Bring those up again. And Arnold talked about it last night. He had these great training partners that helped him become a champion. And, you know, the days of everybody gathering together at Gold's Gym is a little bit gone. So I think, you know, some of the camaraderie that we saw in the 70s, 80s, and 90s is gone. But you have an incredible training partner who's also competing at the highest level. How has that impacted your contest preparation and just your training as a whole?
Oh, heavily, man. And, you know, Matt's been there last couple years. I've seen him, you know, he's hungry as ever to, you know, he wants to fulfill his, you know, potential, and he wants to be a champion too. And but it doesn't just stop there with my training partners and the people around me. Listen, these two guys up here I've had conversations with this past week as well. You know, Ali said some special things to me right before prejudging that really, I was like, you know what, you're right. That's the champion mentality. You go out there and you're not here to compete. He didn't say this. This is kind of like what I like to say, but I was not here to compete this weekend. I was here to be the show. I was here to perform and be the show. So, but in that being said, Ali said some things to me that really resonated well, and I was like, okay, cool, like that great camaraderie you're talking about, like, you know, just kind of encouraging one another. Mike, after the sensational Olympia that he had this past year, that few days later he came to Florida, came to train with me at my gym, and same thing, we were just like encouraging each other, pushing each other, just having fun. You know, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, like, I started bodybuilding because I found a love for being in the gym and training, and honestly just being with my boys in there and just pumping the weights. And so in some of this time, you know, 10 years, I kind of lost sight of that. It was more about, ooh, I want to get here, I want to win, and I want to do this and that, blah, 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 blah. You know, there's a lot of great things that come with this sport. You know, you can be very well financially taken care of, but at the end of the day, you have to love this. It has to be really deep-rooted inside of you. You have to have passion for it, and it is about the camaraderie. And I feel like whether it's just competitor to competitor or whether it's, you know, crossing divisions, we all we all seem to have this great camaraderie that's coming together. So it's really nice to see. I love that, you know, open bodybuilding is always king of bodybuilding in this industry, in this community, but these other divisions are massively, massively elevating our sport here. And so I'm just really grateful and thankful for each division and all these great champions that we can come together and support each other. And dude, this is one of the craziest Arnold Classics in every division I've ever seen.
And it feels like the camaraderie is starting to grow a little bit. We had one of our good friends from Gym Fail Nation, a good friend of the Arnold Classic here this weekend, always putting out the memes saying, you know, me and the boys at the gym. But it kind of feels like that's coming back. You know, for a long time, look, guys have always had training partners, girls have always had training partners. But it really feels like that, like gym bro, gym partner mentality. It's not just like you're meeting up to go through a chest workout. You're really there to push each other. You're there to support each other. Are you seeing that, you know, even outside of your gym in the division and in the sport as a whole? It feels like the camaraderie is coming back.
No, absolutely. That's exactly what I was saying, actually. And it doesn't just stop with the bodybuilding divisions. Even like powerlifters and other people that like to weight train, like for whatever specific goal they have. Like, I don't like it that when I've heard this before, like, oh, powerlifters and bodybuilders are like cats and dogs. No, they're not. I think we should all support whatever goal it is that each other have, right? If you're someone that's trying to win the Olympia title, that's great. But also, what about the person that just wants to, you know, lose 10 pounds or whatever, you know, but they're very dedicated, they're very serious about their routine or regimen. I think we should just come together to support each other, and I genuinely mean that. And I think when you can adapt that kind of mindset and stop being so selfish about, well, you know, my goals are more important and I'm the one that's trying to be Mr. Olympia rather than this person. They don't even compete. Who cares, man? We're all here to get better. We're all here in the gym trying to get better, doing the same thing. We all love the same thing. And I think what I was going to say was, I think when you can adapt that kind of a mindset, you're going to find a lot more enjoyment and fulfillment, and you're going to get better.
And Derek, we had another question from the audience, and this is a great one. They asked, how has becoming a father changed your mindset as a competitor?
You know, it's one of those things that as a parent, I don't think you can really explain it. It just kind of happens. Like, I mean, you just became a father, what, not too long ago, a couple years ago? Yeah, a couple years ago. And I think we had this discussion as well, but it's something you don't know what it's going to be like until you have your child. And when you have your child, it just like, there's just this unconditional love and this dad energy that you got that you didn't have before. Again, I can't explain it. I have so much love for that little girl that I'd be willing to do anything for that little girl. And that's what's going to take me to the next level. And then that's what I kind of wanted to say but never did coming into this Arnold, is that, like, I have a lot more reasons than these other guys do for me to show up at my best, and they don't even know that, and that's one of them.
All right, and great answer. How about a round of applause for Derek? I mean, obviously, anybody who's got kids knows how life-changing that can be, but being a great champion and then putting yourself what you do to get ready for these shows, along with being a father, definitely a lot of hard work. One of the other questions that we had from one of our fans, Derek, was, what do you feel like you need to work on as a competitive bodybuilder? And I think that's a great question, because when audiences see you out on stage, you're like, that's it. That's the guy. But obviously, you go home, you look in the mirror when you're in the gym every day. When you're looking in the mirror, what do you think that is going to take Derek Lunsford physique to another level?
No, I'm my worst critic. You know, the judging, the social media, keyboard warriors, whoever you are, trust me, I'm my worst critic. I see where I can get better, but that's it. That's what, you know, all great champions from all different endeavors. You know, I've been watching a lot of Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality kind of stuff lately, and trying to adapt that kind of a mindset. So, you know, it's just this obsession with just, you know, seeking perfection. You know, even though we know that perfection doesn't exist, we're trying to get as close to it as we possibly can. So as far as my physique, you know, you saw from this past Olympia to the Arnold, you know, obviously my chest has improved a lot. My legs were a lot fuller and better. And so I think we just need to keep going in that direction that we have been going, and just taking things one step at a time. Everything can get better. I mean, I'm known for my back shots, my back being one of my best body parts, but heck, it can get better. Everything can get better.
I think your back can get bigger and better, bigger and better. That's a tall order. Derek, one of the questions that we had from the audience, and you can elaborate on this as much as you feel comfortable with, of course. They said they were very inspired by the speech you gave last night, and wondering whether you were willing to elaborate a little bit more on the hardships that you discussed going through getting ready for the show, just to try to help connect with the audience on a different level.
Sure. So a lot happened right after the Olympia. So obviously the Olympia sucked. I was the reigning champion and I took third. And that was a big blow to my ego, and that makes you start to doubt yourself and question a lot of things. Immediately after that, I caught wind that the coach that I had been working with at the time was going to retire. So that meant I was going to lose the coach that I worked with for 4 years. And I was also sponsored by the supplement company that he owned or owns, which we were not really discussing moving forward also. So then there goes the income. And then we were talking about what else happened. Oh, and then I don't want to get too personal here, but he was like a brother of mine, basically, like a really close friend who decided to take a different path in life. And I was very, very close to this guy, and he just decided to kind of walk out of my life, which really sucked and blindsided me. That was one person that I thought I could count on for the rest of my life, and wasn't the case. And then around Thanksgiving, this is the hardest one for me, and forgive me if I get teared up here. Sorry. Sorry.
Take your time, Derek. Take your time.
My grandmother, who I'm very close with, who has been to every single sporting event in my entire life. I was a little kid, t-ball, all the way through wrestling in college, to all of my bodybuilding events. Found out that she has stage 4 cancer. And at that time, my body wasn't in the right place to do a show. It was like, let's just say we're 16 weeks, 18 weeks out from the Arnold. My body was not in the right spot from the Olympia. My mind wasn't in the right spot. And we got this news after all this other stuff I just told you. And I was talking to her on the phone, and I said, okay. I said, what do you think about me doing the Arnold then? Because time is precious. And she said, I think you can do it. I think you can win. I said, well, if I go there, I'm going to go win. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do this. And so Lloyd, I want to thank Lloyd. I said, Lloyd, you've been trying to get me to do this show for 5 years. And I've turned it down every year for one reason or another. I said, but I got one request. If you can put my grandparents up in the best seats in the house, I'll do your show. And I'm going to bring my best physique ever. And he said, don't worry, your grandparents will be taken care of. They will sit in the front. So I want to thank Lloyd for that. But unfortunately, the day of prejudging, she was not feeling well enough to make it here. And the posing routine that you guys saw me do was dedicated 100% to her. It was the Celine Dion song, Ashes. I'm pretty sure she was talking about her husband when she made the song, who passed away. So the song for me started right after the Olympia with the setback of not being the champion and like kind of falling and coming back and rising, kind of like a phoenix. But the song actually was meant because of a loss. And so my grandma was not able to even be here this weekend. And that, as soon as I got done with the posing routine, I just walked off stage and was just bawling, crying backstage. And everybody's like, everything okay? I was like, nah, it's fine. But this is a little long-winded, but there's a lot of things that have been troubling for many, many months. But that's why I said, like, this Arnold Classic win, this victory, and what I said in the speech was to inspire people and motivate people that no matter what's going on in life, life continues on, and you have to keep pushing on. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep persevering. And you know, the positive, hopeful side of things, to kind of get away from all the emotional, negative stuff, is I think everybody feels a little doubt, a little concern, a little questioning themselves, like, can I really be great, or should I really be going for something? And it's like, no, if you have this passion in your heart and this calling and this drive, you should recognize that. You should own it. You should, you know, hear that voice and be like, okay, I'm gonna be who God called me to be. And for me, it was to be a bodybuilder, to be Mr. Olympia. So I hope that that can resonate with you. And if you've had any troubling, challenging times in your life, whether it be a family member, whether it be just a setback or a challenge in life, or somebody told you couldn't do something, it's like, the hell with that, man. You can do this. Like this, if this is something that you have in your heart and a vision that you have, that's only between you and God. So just go for it.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Derek. And pretty sure you made Grandma very, very proud last night.
She was watching, that's for sure. But we kicked some butt for that.
All right, now, Derek, one of the things here at the Arnold Classic that the winners look so forward to, of course, Arnold coming out on stage, getting to stand there front and center with him while you receive your award. I know you've been looking forward to that since you came here for the first time in 2015. What was that like, being up on stage with Arnold, getting that award presented to you?
Dude, that's so crazy, man. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys. Come on. Yeah. Oh man, I don't even know. I just you're just all in the moment. I mean, I'm looking out and I'm like, I'm seeing every seat is filled, not just down here, but in the risers, and then up top, like every body was in packed house. And then Arnold is presenting you the huge check and trophy, and you just won the Arnold title. It's such a prestigious title, and this was the first time we had 3 Mr. Olympias in one show, and it's just like so much going on. But yeah, what an honor to have Arnold Schwarzenegger putting on this show and then actually being here presenting you the award and you know, speaking with you. That's just grateful, just honored.
No, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you swerved his question when he asked how big your arms are. You know he's going to be out of here a little bit later this morning. You just said big enough to win the Arnold Classic, and the crowd got quite the ruse out of that. He might give you that same question here in a little bit. What are you going to say?
Man, I haven't even measured my arms or nothing. But I don't know. I haven't measured them. I have no idea my measurements. I'm going to stick to my height that was last time I measured. I'm sure the squats haven't helped that, but but no, this is bodybuilding, and it's an illusion, right? We're trying to sculpt and mold the physique to be its craziest, most extraordinary look, with not just the shape and the size, but the conditioning and then the balance and how you present it, and This is not about, okay, you need to be 6 foot tall, 300 pounds. Like, who cares, to be honest? Like, if you want to be Mr. 300, be Mr. 300, because I'm over here trying to be Mr. Olympia.
All right. How about another big round of applause for Derek Lunsford? At this time, we're going to exit a few of our champions and bring out a few more familiar faces. Even stepping on a stage, you did it just a few weeks ago with pretty solid fashion, qualifying for the Arnold Amateur. Came here to Columbus with a goal in mind, and you absolutely succeeded in achieving that. You're a new IFBB pro and an Arnold Amateur champion, man. How does that feel?
Oh, geez. It's it's almost hard to quantify in just any one word, but I think incredible definitely comes pretty close. But yeah, I mean, not the most complicated plan. Only 2 shows, but it was a bit harder to pull off than I would have expected. So I'm feeling pretty good now that I can, basically eat without constraints.
Did you have something on your list that was going to be the first thing you went and ate after getting off stage?
Well, I've had a list in mind. It's kind of grown over the last few days. Wendy's was on it, Cane's was on it, a Krispy Kreme donut was on it, chocolate milk is on it, a little lower. I think I might have grown out of it a little bit. and a little bit of Chinese food's on there. And unfortunately, only one of those things is left on the list. All the rest already got hit over the course of the last 2 days.
But overall, how was your experience here in Columbus? Of course, you took your stage out west just a few weeks ago. First time here competing in Columbus, not your first time. But what was that like for you?
No, it was incredible. I'm a little bit spoiled. You might not think that all the social media views would translate to in person with a huge crowd, but I almost kind of was prepped for, coming out with a suit on and everything else from all the diving that I used to do. So, being pretty much totally exposed was already my forte. So now with a tan, lights and everything, plus being able to be on the same stage as all these great guys across from me, I mean, it was a pretty blessed kind of feeling.
Was there nerves? You're relatively new to competing, certainly not new to the gym. Was there nerves coming out on this stage, the lights, everything in the backdrop?
Not as much as I would have thought, honestly. Because it's really a good indication for me of like, all right, there's nothing else I can do here. If it's 2 days before your show and you've got an extra 5 pounds of anything to lose, it's not coming off. So you're either ready or you're not. So I was really kind of embodying that. So once everything was in place, I've got nothing to do but play some Earth, Wind, and Fire and try to hit as big of a side chest as I could.
I wasn't ready for Earth, Wind, and Fire, but it's a solid choice.
I wanted to change it up. Everybody's got either a little bit of an orchestra, kind of a rock music, so I wanted to be a little different with that. Plus, I just like them.
Jay, did you ever pose to Earth, Wind, and Fire?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a band, man. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Come on.
Hey, you never heard of Boogie Wonderland?
No.
It's not for everybody.
We can teach them.
Ronnie, you know what that is, Ronnie?
Of course I do, Jay. That's soul music. I grew up with them, by the way.
You're a little out of the loop here, apparently, Jay. He grew up listening to Gin Blossoms, right, Jay? All right. Speaking of first-timers, Phil Heath, making your first time on our broadcast team, and the feedback from the fans, Phil, from the live stream has been absolutely incredible. You brought so much to the stream. How was it being up in the broadcast booth for the first time here at the Arnold Classic?
Oh, it was outstanding, and shout out to all the champions, making my job a lot easier. Just having the opportunity to do the live stream was pretty freaking awesome, being with Sid and Nick and Todd. But overall, just the production, being able to have it really streamlined process, but most importantly, seeing history be made. With Derek Lunsford, going into that show, we weren't quite sure as to what we would see. And I know this guy has had a lot of adversity, but what happens with adversity is that you have an opportunity to turn that around and get a victory, and that's what he did. So it was really neat to be able to see that, and especially being away from competitive bodybuilding as far as being on the stage, hitting those poses. I love doing the live stream. I was telling some guys at the expo, they're like, well, how does it feel being away from competing and such? You look great, this and that, and I'm like, of course, thank you. But having the ability to talk about the best bodies in the world is my 8, 9, and 10 Sandow, if you ask me. So I really appreciate that opportunity. I look forward to coming back.
All right, now, Ronnie, we saw you up front. You were sitting right by two of our other champions, Mike Ashley and Rich Gaspari, for most of the show. We had a former Arnold Classic champion, Derek, making his debut. What were you thinking there up watching the big screens and these guys on stage? Pretty solid competition here at the 2025 Arnold?
It was pretty good. I think the bodybuilding has kind of changed from, when I was competing. We had a lot of guys that were really, really, really good. A lot of guys in great shape. And that was because when I grew up and came through bodybuilding back in the day, we didn't have social media. So to make money, you had to compete. And when you stepped on that stage, you had to be in the best condition ever, because everybody up there was hungry. Like I said, only way we had to make money was to competing, and everybody was competing.
On 4 reps. But ladies and gentlemen, at this time we have a very special guest to welcome to the stage. How about everybody get on your feet, put your hands together for the one and only, the greatest of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
This crowd is fantastic. See, this is why we came up with this idea to have the next day after the competitions are over, to have all the champions sit down, not the guys that kind of like try to act like the smart guys in bodybuilding. You know, there's a lot of them out there that have never won anything, and they run around and they pretend like they've all the knowledge in nutrition and in bodybuilding and in powerlifting and in all of those activities. And they have a lot of knowledge, but I think the best is when you have the best in the world that have won the championships answer your questions. That is the idea here. And of course, you've been doing a great job getting this information out of them. You did a great job yesterday and 2 days ago. Unbelievable. Let's give him a big hand. He's the greatest MC. Unbelievable, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about first the incredible weekend that we've had so far here in Columbus. You brought up last night a 20% increase in ticket sales. Now, we know the goal every year. We say it every year. We're going to come back bigger and better next year. But 2025 has been off the charts. What did you think walking around the expo, checking out the show, seeing all the booths, the vendors, and all the fans here in 2025?
Well, it was absolutely packed. It was fantastic. And this is what the whole thing is about. I always had this vision and this dream to have a place where you walk in and there's just energy everywhere. So you walk a few booths and you look at the equipment or the clothing line or the food supplements, and all of a sudden you're in front of a competition, the amateur bodybuilding competition, and you see those most muscular guys in the amateur division posing and having a great time up there. The judges are counting the scores and everything, and you're seeing all of this in front of you. And then you go to the next hall, and there you see again more equipment, guys exercising. You can try out the equipment, you can try out food supplements. They have all those protein drinks they can try out, and there's energy there. And then all of a sudden there's the world's strongest man competing. And then you go to the next hall, and there are the women competing, and this is how it goes. So this is what I always envisioned, is to combine the kind of the expo with the equipment manufacturers, clothing manufacturers, food supplement manufacturers, all of these various different vendors and companies, combine it with the different sports. So no matter where you go, there's activities and there's inspiration. And so this is what we have accomplished. And so this is why I was very happy. So when I walked around yesterday, I mean, imagine, I remember walking in there, and then all of a sudden the guy said, "Arnold, come over here, you have to go on stage." I said, "Where?" The world's strongest firefighters. And I was right there with the world's strongest firefighters. And these guys are taking these hydrants, 300-pound hydrants, and lifting it up like nothing on the table, right? I mean, it's crazy stuff. And women, the world's strongest women firefighters. And then you go over to the other hall, and they have the world's strongest man. And it's just activity after activity. Then I come here at night, and I have to say, yesterday I was blown away by the bodybuilding champions, because from Friday, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but to me, from Friday to Saturday, there was such a change in each one's performance and in their definition and their perfection. I mean, the day before I was complaining, he's not putting in the waist enough. God damn it, why doesn't he should have flexed the abs more. It's like Joe Vito always says, you know, when you flex the abs, go, you know, you cough kind of internally to get more the abs out and stuff. I said, why didn't he do that? Why didn't he do that? Then the next day, all of those guys were so ripped, so defined. Their posing was perfect. It was like unbelievable when I watched this. I said, the change, which just shows to you that practice makes perfect. The prejudging, even though very, very dangerous, because that's where you get the scores, most of the points. But the prejudging has, you know, kind of made them pose for so many hours that they lost all of the fluid, and they got sharper and sharper and sharper. And so the next day they were perfect. So that was really extraordinary to see, which just shows to you how much more training that actually you can do. They should do the week before, every day, a prejudging, a day of prejudging. You know, Ronnie, remember with Joe Vito, he always had us pose the day before the competition. And it was like, I always hated it. And I said, come on, Joe, let's do it the day after competition. He says, no. We did it before. And so this whole day of posing, and you know how crazy he got. You know, he did, hold it there, hold it. No, now, come on, Arnold, flex your calves. Come on. Oh, those bodybuilders, those bastards, eh? And then they will always complain about something. But you will be standing there and you will be flexing your calf, and he says, pull in the waist, and you pull in the waist. He says, I need moisturition on the back. And then you fix and you stand there for half an hour for one pose. And you're sweating. But then when you do that the whole day, and the next day you go into the competition, you're totally in shape. You're chiseled. You know, so this is why it is so important to just practice and practice. So I was blown away by the shape everyone was in, how close the competition was. Because it could have gone either way in the top 2 or 3. I mean, I was like going back, I changed my mind 15 times while I was seeing the pose off. It was like crazy. I've never seen people being that close together and such great.
सो गाइज आज की इस वीडियो के अंदर तो सिर्फ इतने अपडेट्स थे। आप लोग को कैसा लगा सेमिनार, एंड ऑल्सो गाइज आप लोग की जो प्रेडिक्शन रहे होंगे आर्नोल्ड क्लासिक को लेके, आप लोग किस प्रेडिक्शन से सेटिस्फाइड रहे थे या किस डिसीजन से सेटिस्फाइड रहे थे जो एज अ विनर हम लोग के सामने निकल के आए। मुझे कमेंट करके बताना, आप लोग कोई भी करी हो वो भी कमेंट सेक्शन में बता देना, एंड कुछ बातचीत भी करते कमेंट सेक्शन के अंदर। तो डेफिनेटली जो भी आप लोग हमने कमेंट सेक्शन में बताना, एंड ऑल्सो सब्सक्राइब कर लेना अगर आप लोग चैनल पर पहली बार हो एंड अभी तक आप लोग चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं कर रखा हो तो। बाकी मिलता है नेक्स्ट वीडियो के साथ।